All right, if you're learning Spanish, you have absolutely felt the pain of irregular verbs. You know the feeling. They just seem to break all the rules. But what if I told you there's a hidden logic, a secret pattern that unlocks almost all of them? Today, we're going to turn all that confusion into pure confidence.
I mean, have you ever felt like you're just memorizing this giant random list of verbs? It can feel like there's absolutely no rhyme or reason to why a verb like ser or poder just totally changes. But what if I told you that most of that chaos, it's actually an illusion? That's right. The vast majority of these so-called irregular verbs follow just a few simple, predictable patterns. And once you see them, you literally can't unsee them. So let's go uncover those secrets together.
Okay, so before we can find the patterns, we need to be crystal clear on what we're even looking for. Let's just do a super quick breakdown of what makes a verb regular or irregular in the first place.
It really all comes down to the verb's stem. You know, that's the core part of the verb you're left with when you chop off the AR, ER, or IR ending. For regular verbs, that stem is like a rock. It never ever changes. You just stick the right ending on and you're good to go. But for irregular verbs, that stem can change. The secret, though, is that those changes are almost never random.
Now, before we get to the amazing secret patterns, we do have to deal with the three true rebels of the Spanish language. These guys, they don't follow anyone's rules, not even the secret ones, so it's best to just get them out of the way first.
So, meet the big three: ser, ir, and estar. These are, without a doubt, some of the most common verbs you'll ever use, and they are pretty much the only ones you truly have to just memorize from scratch.
Let's just take a look at how wild their conjugations get. I mean, look at ir. The verb starts with an I, but the yo form is voy. Where did that come from? And ser becomes soy, eres, es. There's almost no connection to the original verb. These are the exceptions that really prove the rule we're about to learn. Go ahead, say them out loud with me. Ser, ir, estar. Seriously, locking these three rebels into your memory is the first big step. Once you've got them handled, I promise, everything else gets so much easier.
Okay, with those rebels out of the way, it's time to unlock the master key. This one single concept is going to do most of the heavy lifting for you from now on when it comes to irregular verbs.
It's called the boot verb pattern, and the rule is actually super simple. The vowel in the stem of the verb changes for most forms, but, and this is the important part, it stays completely normal for the we and you all forms. That's nosotros and vosotros. That exception is everything. Let's look at the verb poder, which means to be able to. Notice how the O in the stem changes to UE for yo puedo, tú puedes, él puede, and ellos pueden. But now, look at nosotros and vosotros. Podemos, podéis. The O just stays put. It's back to normal.
And here is why they're called boot verbs. If you draw a line around all the forms that actually change, what do you get? You get the shape of a boot. And the forms that don't change, nosotros and vosotros, are left right outside. This simple shape, this is the secret pattern you've been looking for.
Now here's the best part. This boot shape doesn't just apply to one or two verbs. No, it applies to entire families of verbs. There are four main types of vowel changes that all happen inside this boot. Let's meet the families.
So here are the four families. The vowel E can either change to IE or sometimes just to I. The vowel O almost always changes to UE. And finally, U also changes to UE. The key is, once you know which family a verb belongs to, you can apply the boot rule and conjugate it pretty much perfectly every time.
Let's start with family 1. E changes to IE. Let's use the verb sentir, to feel. Inside the boot, it's siento, sientes, siente, sienten. But look outside the boot. Sentimos, sentís. That E is right back to normal. See the pattern? It just works. And this right here is a total game changer. Because once you know how to conjugate sentir, you automatically have a huge head start on tons of other common verbs like empezar, entender, and perder. They all follow the exact same E to IE boot pattern.
All right, let's move on to the second family, where E changes to just I. Our example here is pedir, to ask for. Inside the boot is pido, pides, pide, piden. And outside, back to the original stem, pedimos, pedís. It's the same boot shape, just a different vowel change inside.
Okay, a quick pro tip for this particular family. For some verbs, like seguir, which means to follow, you actually drop the U in the yo form, so it's sigo. This is just to keep that hard G sound. Same thing with elegir, to choose. The G becomes a H in elijo to keep the pronunciation right. It's a small tweak, but a really important one to know.
Now for family number 3, where O changes to U. We already saw this with poder, and here it is again with dormir, to sleep. Yo duermo, but nosotros dormimos. It's the same reliable, predictable boot pattern at work again.
And finally, we have our fourth family. U changes to ui. Now this is a very exclusive club because it only has one member, the verb jugar, to play. So you get yo juego, but nosotros jugamos. It's super easy to remember because it's all by itself.
Okay, so seeing the pattern is one thing, but actually using it is how you're going to make it stick. You ready for a quick quiz to put this boot rule into action? Let's do it.
Okay, first question. The verb is dormir, and the subject is ellas, which is they. So is it dormen or duermen? Think about it. Where does ellas fall on our chart? Is it inside or outside that boot?
Yes, you got it. It's Derman. The Ellis form is right there at the bottom of the boot, which means that stem vowel has to change, so that O becomes a UE. See? You're already starting to think in patterns, not just memorizing random words.
So, from now on, the next time you see an irregular verb, don't panic. Just ask yourself, is it one of the 3 big rebels, or is it a boot verb? Because what once looked like a totally chaotic, random mess is now a system you can actually understand and use. So how does knowing this secret change the way you'll approach learning Spanish from now on?